Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have a special series that we're starting. We're going to call it Atomicals Introduction, and then we're going to do follow-ups to this one. But this one will be the introduction into Atomicals. So we recently had Arthur on the show, and he really broke us down what Atomicals is. But today we're going to have our buddy Thoth. He's all over X. He's one of the biggest community members on Atomicals, and he's everywhere. So we reached out to him to get him on the show, and that's what this show is. And then we got to talking before, and we're like, there's just so much. We're gonna make this to a series, and that's what this first episode is. So you guys go over the series. You'll probably see this as the first one, and then check back, and you'll see the second and third one. So it should be really fun. So without further ado, let me bring in my partner, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What
What's
up?
up,
What up?
man?
What up? Not much, man.
So it's been pretty crazy. But we've been digging into Atomicals a lot since Arthur really got me crazy bullish on it. I don't know about you, but
You're like Dexter in your atomical laboratory. No, I'm super bullish on it because it's a different narrative than the inscription narrative and the ordinals narrative, which is great. I was talking to some. I think I was talking to Jeff about it. From
Recursiverse.
Yeah, Recursiverse, and he was like, "Yeah, man, Atomicals is a different narrative that is good for the current environment because you have everything is so inscription and ordinal based, and you have this UTXO model with a lot of just awesome things you can do with it and build on it from a more technical standpoint. So both can definitely thrive.
Big time. And we were just talking before the show, and we really it's a lot harder, right? So you're gonna have to pay more attention, and that's why this is going from one episode to a series, because I really feel like we should break this down, especially with we potentially have some mints coming from the base community and stuff like that. So I really want to get you guys on it, so when that stuff happens, that we're on top of it. So
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a learning curve to it, but I think it's more of just a couple of tedious tasks that you got to get out of the way. But once you get that done, I think you'll from what we talked to Thoth about before we started recording was once you get that out of the way, the hard parts out of the way, and you can start having fun with it. So excited for that.
Let's bring them on. Thoth, man, welcome to Ordinal Revolution, my friend.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
I'm your biggest fan.
You are always in the live streams. You're always supporting, man. It's so
Appreciate
nice to have you on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's dig into you. All right. So can you take us through your crypto journey and what brought you to Atomicals?
Sure. I discovered Bitcoin kind of a long time ago, and I faded it, and I kind of just lived my life as a bit of a recluse, and I ended up having a child, and I was like, all right, I gotta get serious about earning money, and got into Bitcoin, and I was like, I want to do this NFT stuff. Where do I start? And I was obsessed with Bitcoin, but I liked all the NFT excitement happening, and so that's how I got involved with BSV actually. So kind of around the time they did their Genesis fork, it was 2019. I got into BSV, joined Twitch, started making NFTs. People wanted me to make their NFTs. I got pretty involved with the community. I've launched tokens. I've done all the things. And so basically when Ordinals launched on BTC, we were just, some of us were we were just so ready for it. And that's kind of how I met you guys. And it's been nice because in BSV, we've been kind of the hated Bitcoiners that dared to put all this data on chain, and really we were just kind of experimenters and wanting to kind of push the envelope and do things that really that the whole ecosystem was already doing, but do them on Bitcoin. And so, with ordinals, there's been this revolution, as you guys have coined, to your credit. And yeah, it's just been a total whirlwind of chaos. And, it's been a blessing to be a part of all of it, really. So that's kind of my story on how I got involved.
Awesome. Yeah. So I have questions about BSV because, being over there was definitely, like you said, a lot of people, especially on the Bitcoin side, kind of, threw a lot of hate and shade towards y'all. But, the community, from what the people I've met from that community, it seemed like a pretty tight knit community. Did you feel like, did you stay only over there, or did you like dabble in like other chains like Ethereum and some of these other EVM chains, or would you just focus on BSV?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually did not dabble anywhere and missed
Wow.
out completely on like the whole bull run and everything. So, as sad as that is to say, yeah, we're very tight knit. It's very interesting, like there's this kind of like spirit almost when you meet people that will just send you pennies of Bitcoin with no strings attached. And my first day in the community, someone was sending me pennies, and I was just getting them instantly, zero conf. And I was like, I'm sending these pennies back, you know? And so we were just flinging pennies back and forth. Like, I was like, I'm thinking, holy shit, like this is like, this is unlike anything I've done. Initially I got into some shit coins like Rune and other ones. I was actually very early to Rune, and I did not stick with my bag, which was a big mistake. But anyways, yeah, long story short, we just kind of have this tight knit community where like we appreciate each other and we all support each other. And, there's a lot of art going on. There's a big spirit of building. But at the same time, it's kind of like we've been shunned a lot. So it's been very difficult. I won't lie. Yeah.
So that shunning, that stunted the growth of BSV, you feel like?
Yeah, I definitely think it does turn a lot of people away, and not only that, but a lot of builders, it won't matter what you build on BSV because of that stigma of
Yeah.
Craig and just, the centralized mining, all that. So it's just there's a lot of hurdles, but at the same time we see like the whole narrative kind of shifting towards like our philosophy, which is like, we want to use the chain for basically everything.
Yep. 100%.
Definitely.
So
All right, so you're over there. You basically you hear about ordinals. How did you and you kind of link up with A and stuff?
me and A have known each other for quite some time, and just had like a mutual respect relationship. We've never met, um, but when ordinals came around, we kind of linked up for ordinals. And I'm not going to talk about our ordinal project. It's a secret. If you know, you know. But yeah, he showed me a tremendous amount of respect, and I really respected his skills, his skill set. And basically I just, anytime he asked me to do something, I was like, hell yes, I will work with you, absolutely, let's do it. And so as ordinals progressed, he would tell me things like they're going to have indexing overhead problems, and these things that actually have occurred now, and that we've seen more and more of as time has progressed, interestingly enough. And now you see all these maxis, calling for like the death of BRC, and even like or doesn't want to recognize BRC. All these little things have happened, and that was just kind of something that it was almost like we weren't sure if Ordinals was going to make it early on.
Yeah.
Like no one really knew. This was before it really blew up, but we were not fading it. Like we support everything on chain basically, and we think it's all great. But yeah, we linked up, and he was just like, you know what, I have to do this, and I support him 100%. So yeah.
Awesome. So he brings you this atomical protocol, right? I guess he's breaking it down to you. What's your first thoughts about it?
Well, each aspect in its own right has its own merits, so like Bitwork is just tremendous, and the way it mirrors Bitcoin is just beautiful. I've been highly impressed by this stuff, honestly, and the colored coins, that's it's just to have a Satoshi unit of exchange and a Satoshi accounting system. Like, I mean, that's just like the fact that, for me to send you Atom right now, it's just like me sending you sats. I don't inscribe anything. There's no inscription being read by an indexer. It's, Bitcoin is reading those Satoshis being sent. And so, yeah, hearing this stuff being built, I was all about it. And it's kind of funny because bringing it to the ordinal world, I was trying to show builders and tell people like this is coming, this is beautiful, and it's Bitcoin to its core. It's Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin on Bitcoin, and can really be appreciated. And man, it was really hard to get that word out, and to get past the ordinal the vibe. It was just the fire. It was like the raging fire, and we just couldn't even be heard.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's been a roller coaster.
I remember whenever I was first hearing about Atomicals months ago, it was kind of like Casey came out, I think 3 weeks after, and announced runes, and then all of a sudden I would see I think I would see Thoth and other people be like, "Hey, you talking about Atomicals or ARC20s?" and then it was like I wasn't it wasn't coming together for me at the moment until then. Like I would hear more people talk about like UTXO model fungible tokens, and
Right.
and how like, okay, now it makes sense what they were saying, because it's basically in a way like pipe and runes and stuff kind of mimics what ARC20s are. Just they have their
Well,
own little quirks to them, right? Or can you
yeah.
explain that?
Well, they took like a page from Atomical's book with the UTXO model, but they don't use the Satoshi unit of accounting. And that's where we differ. So, like, Atom is actually colored Satoshis, where, yes, runes are switching to a UTXO model, and they seem to have gotten that quickly after the Atomicals launch. That's kind of what people were saying with that. It's a move away from using this inscription labeling on the Satoshis within a UTXO, if that makes sense, like
Yeah.
how ordinals are created. So it's just a different accounting system. It's more, to me, in my opinion, it's more native to Bitcoin.
Well, because that's how Bitcoin works, right?
Right, right. And it's just input in, input out, Satoshi in, Satoshi out. There's no funny rules or anything like that with uh, you know, any reading of the numbers or anything like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the builders that eventually came over, well, I guess like you really had the main, developers and developer team, like Arthur, and then like you guys were helping him kind of like push the information out. But like you said, it took some time because everybody's so ordinal, kind of like maxi, right? I felt like that's really what the problem was. And then once it like actually started getting through to people, when was that? When did you notice, okay, people are starting to actually receive this and take it in?
I mean, your show, honest to God, I think Shizzy, you said like we got the creator of Atomicals on, and I think I said like BS or like yeah
Yeah, you
right or
did.
something like that because I was like, there's no way you already like set this up. It's so fast, you know, literally. And so that was kind of the first hint where people were kind of like, at least we were on, your radar. And
Yeah.
it's just been a slow trickle. There's been some buddies of mine like Billy Bitcoins. He's a BSVer, and he's into Doge and Ordinals, but he picked it up pretty quick. And some other buddies of mine that I kind of just met through Ordinals just picked it up and ran with it. And it's funny. It's like the few people that have picked it up, they're so inspired by it that they have really taken it upon themselves to like spread the word, and they've created telegrams, and they're just being very gracious to everyone. And it's been like a slow trickle, but like now we're to the point where like people are like congratulating me on knowing and just
Getting in early.
yeah, and just keep mentioning it, because that was hard. It's not really my personality to like sit there and like cheerlead something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
get it.
it's like if I don't tell you, you're gonna be like, why didn't you tell us about colored coins? Or why
Yeah.
didn't you tell us about Bitwork and all that? So
Well,
part of
and
it,
then there's a
go ahead.
Chinese community too that's like starting to
Y-
really get some momentum
yes.
behind it.
Dude,
Yeah, and that's something that we, couldn't see coming. They have just taken the torch and just ran with it. So it's incredible. They're doing all kinds of educational stuff, and that's kind of where I got my idea to do my graphics that I put out this week, and I'm trying to kind of catch up to them.
yeah. This Atomicals really feels like me and Yagobi, we've been around since like I want to say May and BRC 20s, but it feels like that here in Atomicals. I think that's why I'm so attracted to it, is because it
Hmm.
feels like the early days when when we were still trying to figure out what was going to be the thing, right? So we're sitting here earlier talking about electrons and neutrons and realms and the possibilities of potentially burning and stuff like that. And it really feels like the early days of BRC 20s. And I think that's why I've really like jumped over here, and I can't stop looking because I get that feeling again. I feel like with BRC 20s, I feel like we're kind of just chasing the next thing. We're trying to find the next token that has utility and trying to follow it. While over here, it just feels like you don't know anything that's going to happen. And like any day, something could just be like, boom, this is it. And it feels like it gives me that energy again. You get that as well?
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. It definitely has that kind of spontaneity to it, and kind of like mystery almost. And it's like, how are builders going to use these new variables, and how are people going to respond? How would people respond if Based had realms for their fans and their artists, and if they could be getting split payments instantly, and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
just, I think it will just inspire people, and I think ordinals too, like for certain builders, that will be their thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, different recipes for different people, and
100%.
also different vibes to different projects. It will just bring different aspects to everything.
Yeah, I just look at it as like two different sets of Bitcoin layer one asset groups, right? And
Yeah.
if they can complement each other in terms of like based Based has a lot of stuff in the ordinal space, but if they come over here and they do something else, and it's like they have their toes dipping their toes in multiple different protocols, which in the end it all makes possibly onboard more people to Bitcoin in general.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. It can only benefit them really to take part in everything if it interests you, and you don't have to hold back, it's all on Bitcoin. That's what's beautiful, it's just it can all kind of work harmoniously, we believe.
All right. Yeah, man.
I got a question for you about okay, so the realms topic is really interesting, but what is the what's the base, for example? You just brought them up. Okay, so what is the best case scenario for them to use realms? You said split payments and stuff, but let's think about from a business model. Base
Sure.
at the top with their artists underneath them. How would that look using realms in the most efficient way?
Well, essentially base is like the top level realm, and so beneath that anybody can mint literally anything, any custom name. So based dot Shizzy or Yagobi. And then from that, you actually have full control, within your own sub realm too. So it would give every based artist also the ability to administer the same type of thing, the same type of sub realm hierarchy to either their fans, and you can use these demint rules. And so what that allows you to do is to say only 100 people can be a part of this sub-realm group, or only people that buy with Atom can be part of this group, or the first 10 people, it's easy to mine, but the second 10, it gets harder. And then after 100, the bit work becomes impossible. So you
Wow.
can work all these rules into your community. And so the first based members can kind of get in and get their names and their domains, and then you can actually make it increasingly hard to join the community, but you actually leave it open forever, but the bit work just becomes crazy. So maybe one day you have people mining for a whole year to become based
Members.
Yeah. And so that's kind of one way I see, a community using realms. It's kind of like you're not only giving your community inclusive names where they're they could maybe be a part of a group chat, or a token distribution or NFT drop, or a whitelist, but you're also allowing those people to do that themselves. You empower all of them to have their own whitelists and hierarchies, and it's kind of like a family tree, right?
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
and what I love about it is that all that is on chain, where I look at ordinals and I think in 700 years, is the chain, are they going to be able to look at the chain and understand what artist made this collection, and what is their community, and who was in their community? And so all of that will be on chain with realms, and it can just be this, it can really be a beautiful kind of thing that another site could then build on top of that and build like a front end. It could be like the based community front end that has this social network of, it's just the based social network, and they have their own mints and their own chat, and their, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. I'm probably
Wow.
kind of I don't want to limit anyone's vision.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I guess we'll kind of get into atomicals as it is. So like if I was like just trying to get into atomicals, what should we start with first?
Well, you can read the documents, of course, Atomicals documents. You should be able to just Google that and find it. If not, it's definitely on the Twitter. The GitHub is kind of a more advanced intro into the command line interface, which Atomicals basically comes with a built-in power user interface, which lets you interact with Bitcoin directly all by yourself. And so no third parties, you're just using the command line or terminal. And that has been kind of challenging for a lot of people to set up. And so we're kind of working through the best way to onboard people to that. So for newbies, I'm kind of sending them to various websites that have built front ends for this. And so there has been some hiccups too with some of these markets, but one thing to keep in mind is they've all made good on repaying everything that happened. So I send everyone to Atomical Market. I'm still using it. It's been good. They have a lot of volume there, so that's been kind of like the place to sell and buy.
Do you think that changes once Unisat integrates Atomicals, or do you feel like Atomical Market will have the market share still?
I mean, I really love Unisat, so I see no reason why it won't be very competitive, to say the least. I mean, they might grab a big chunk, honestly.
Gotcha.
It depends how well they integrate it and if they can really do it side by side with BRC in a way that makes us satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably so easy enough just create like how you hit BRC20 to just make that a different, make that atomicals, right? And then your atomical
Yeah.
stuff pops down. Do you
Yep.
think they're going to be able to integrate the same thing in the wallet, or do you think that Unisat's going to have two different wallets? Because if you look over here on Atom that connect, they have a couple options. They have the Atom wallet and Atomicals market wallet. Do you think I'll be able to link my Atom wallet, or do you think Unisat will force you to just use their wallet?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, I hope that Unisat wallet will support Atomicals, of course. So, I mean, that would be good. But, if they accepted Atom wallet also as an option, that would definitely help. I mean,
Yeah.
that would
The
allow
Atom
me
wallet is just a fork of the Unisat wallet anyway, right?
right. And so it's very familiar. And, honestly, I think they're going to have to do that because it's like I'm not moving all my assets,
Yeah.
so that would put them at a disadvantage if they didn't include Atom Wallet for sure.
Gotcha. All right, so let's just say I'm new here, right? Without giving any type of financial advice, 'cause nothing on this channel is financial advice. What would you stick a couple pennies in? Like, what tokens like interest you and interest the community?
Well, Atom is interesting because it's Atomical 0. So it's actually the first Atomical. And it has no team or backing or purpose, but it was just like an experiment, I believe.
Yeah.
To kind of demonstrate what the colored coin protocol would be like. And, it really had no expectation at all. It had a fair launch. There was like a 2-day window where, people were able to get ready and mint it. And I think it minted out in like 6 hours or something like that.
Wow.
So, yeah, I actually like was panicking, getting ready and nearly missed it. So, it was
Now,
very competitive.
why is it so high? Why can't I put 200 or 100? Why do I got to buy 1,000 or 2,000?
Yeah, that's actually because of the BTC dust limit, and because that's actually 1,000 sats. And so for you to break that down lower than, I think it's 556, correct me if I'm wrong, or whatever the dust limit is,
Okay.
A has a substantiation factor solution that he's working on. which works with exponents and which will allow the splitting of atoms. But
I love that, by the way. That sounds awesome. The splitting of
yeah,
atoms.
and the way it's done is really cool because it actually requires that you back it with more and more satoshis so that you don't ever break the dust limit, but you will need to back it even further. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know how it's going to play out exactly. It's like all a little over my head right now. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But that is
Oh,
the
very
reason. It's like a BTC limitation with how many sats with the you can't send just one sat is basically what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then in the number 2 spot by market cap, we have Realm. What can you tell us about Realm?
Realms itself is kind of like a big part of Atomicals and like
Yeah.
why it exists. So like it's kind of just a meme coin that's unique to Atomicals, you know? It's like
like
uh
Sats, kind of how Sats was
y-
for BRC20s.
yeah, it's like not really backed by sats, but it's like Realm is like an atomical thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so that's kind of what that is. And you know, I was kind of into that one early on just because I was like I really believe in what realms will be. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of a fun token, like if you believe in realms.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna get them
Oh,
all, but there's a couple more that I did want to get into. So Electron and
yeah,
Neutron, to
yeah.
me, seem very interesting.
Yeah, so Electron was very hard to mine. It had a very high bitwork. So bitwork's difficulty is actually determined by the amount of digits that the deployer chooses. And so the more digits, essentially, the longer it takes to mine. And so Electron had a very high difficulty. I think it was taking people like 2.5, 3 days to mine it. And actually, to our surprise, it minted very fast. So we were like thinking either they have huge farms of CPUs doing this, or they've built a GPU miner that they're keeping hidden from the community as of right now. So we're kind of like itching for that. Like, you know, the West is like, okay,
Yeah.
who has their hands on this GPU miner, and what can we do about it? So that's kind of like a token that was hard to get, and like but that mint is done, and Neutron is still going. It actually just started, and it has an even more difficult bit work. So it is like very hard to get. As you see,
Yeah.
it's only 6 sats. That is like, to me, absolute paper handing, a very difficult token to get. And so that's kind of something interesting with ARC is that like tokens are provably rare. So like
Yeah.
it's provably difficult to mine that token and to get that token. You know, you don't need to follow any narrative that, you know, it was hard to mint. It physically was actually very difficult. So
When you say
Yeah.
it's difficult, it's difficult for your CPU to match the hash number. Is that
correct.
why?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
so when you say difficult, you mean like it takes a certain amount of time for it to match it.
Correct. Yeah, it actually takes a certain amount of hashes per digit, like on average. So you can kind of determine how difficult you want your mint to be. And I would say like a more fair mint is actually easier, but still includes some bit work, but makes it so more people can participate.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be actually why someone's blessing us with those low prices right there, being that
Yeah.
it's so hard to get. I think they just want to have better
So
distribution.
the supply on Neutron, it says total supply 2.1 billion. So is that max supply?
Yep.
So, but circulating supply, how could we find that?
Good question. I think BitAtom has that information.
There it is. Okay. And I would just go to
Yes.
find
So
it.
click on Neutron. It's under
Uh,
hot.
okay.
Yep,
Up
31
top
million.
there, up top, you'll see circulating supply.
31 million right now.
Yeah, and when you're minting with the CLI too, it like your computer like will type out all that information for every mint. It will tell you like how many mints have been done, how many holders, the circulating supply, all that.
Man, it's an arbitrage opportunity right there.
Seriously.
Yeah, that market is kind of very new, Atom. So there's lower
Well, it's higher for Neutron though, because there's just
Yeah.
not that many listings.
yeah, I was gonna say lower volume over there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But man, that website is beautiful. Like they're doing
really
some
is.
really nice
I
stuff.
like it,
so,
man. I like it.
yeah, it's
Do you
top
know who's
notch.
behind it?
It's a Twitter user. I'm not sure. Let me
We'll
see if I can
definitely
find
have to
them.
reach out to those guys.
Yeah, you should. That would be great.
It's definitely slick. This UI, I like
Really
it a lot.
nice.
I found him. His name is Zen913.
A Zen guy.
I think he's in Zen.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
Not your Zen.
Yeah.
I
I
found
think
him.
he's in
Yeah.
the Chinese community, so I don't
Yeah.
know who's behind it, but man, he's doing some great work. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
site, so it's definitely most welcome.
It's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We're jumping back to Thomas Market really quickly. Go over the last couple that I wanted to talk about. So there is one team that is building over here already, and then you mentioned to
Mhm.
me, you said it's Wrecked. Could you tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about Wrecked?
Yeah, the Rex scientist, that's La Machina on Twitter is behind that. I think it's La Machina 777. Let me see.
Yeah. And I think we reached out to them, right? Yagobi?
Yeah, yep. I was talking to him in the DMs for a little
Okay,
bit.
yeah.
I gotta find it though. Yeah, he was just kind of breaking down what they were building at a high level.
Yeah, he's definitely at a higher level. He understands this. Like, it's crazy when he started the Rex scientist, I was like, is this A? I was like,
Yeah.
who is this that just, he just picked it up and understood it and ran with it and that's the way he's been with everything too, like sub realms and the whole shebang. He's just on top of it. So
Yeah. So he wrote me a kind of a breakdown. He said Wrecked is a TLR top level realm, serving as the gateway to the Wrecked world. Once in this realm, we will find different subrealms, our foundation, various community realms, but most importantly, the lab. So the lab is what he's using as like a launch pad.
yeah. So that's what Based is kind of using to launch, I
Exactly.
suppose.
Oh,
Yep.
Base is
Yeah.
using Wrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think people need to,
Wow.
yeah. So he did say like, he's trying to find a little bit more, members of his team, but like he's building this out, but he said it's going to take a little bit of time, but the plans are very clear. He sent them to me.
Yeah.
So he's using dements. He said, he sent me a infographic as well. So that's
Yeah, he
something that we can
posted
go
that.
over.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he's in Telegram, he's on Discord too.
Yeah.
They have a Discord community, so he's kind of trailblazing. He's definitely one to watch.
Yeah.
And so
You
they
want
have
to bring it? There you go.
the
Yeah.
scientist collection too, I was going to mention.
Yeah. So this is Wrecked right here. You can see the lab, the launch pad, his sub realms. I guess like the way that he's doing it is kind of like what Thoth broke down, sub realm and then sub realms under those sub realms, and just kind of building out an ecosystem, a big, robust ecosystem using this. You can see art section here, kind of maybe that's what he's trying to do, help with base to launch on through his launch pad, I guess. But yeah, I mean, look, this he's like one of the only builders in the ecosystem right now, right? There's
Yeah.
only a handful right now.
Yeah,
Not many.
he's really one of the only ones, and then some of these marketplace builders, and I think a lot of people have really been slow to kind of catch on to it, honestly. Like, all the BSV people I sent stuff to, they literally just ignored me. And I was like, man, I thought you'd be thanking me, but it's just the ordinal craze, just it has people kind of just looking one way. And I understand that too, like I see all these things pop up all the time every day, and I'm like, oh my God, another token. I can't do it. So
So one more project I want to talk about on Atomicals is well, I guess there's two, but I guess Toothies. What can you tell us about
Toothy,
Toothy?
he kind of just appeared out of nowhere when D Mint was kind of being rumored as a thing, and I think A reached out to him saying what D Mint was going to be, which basically allows a creator to put the files on chain in like a reference folder, and you would only pay for the fees of like the folder. And so then you actually allow your community to mint anything in the folder. And you can have rules like pay me $1 per mint or pay me an atom per mint. Once there's a split option, of course. Um, Another thing to mention that just popped in my head was that people like Electron and Neutron for that reason is that they are the easiest to split,
Yeah.
if I said that right. So yeah, but Toothy was the first to do demint, and so you could come, grab your JPEG and mint it for just fees. And to my shock, it was minted out the next morning. And I was just shocked because it was 10,000 images,
Yeah, 10,000. It's pretty
and
crazy.
like every day it has it's gone up only. So it's been very surprising, but I think people just saw it as kind of like the first collection. Like this is almost like our Bitcoin frogs, so it's
Yeah,
just
man.
it's been fun to see. It's been a lot of excitement, a lot of volume.
Yeah, it's definitely the number one. So I mean, obviously, there's really nothing else here, so that could be why it's getting a lot of volume. Either, do you know anything
Right.
about any other collections? I know Sciences is probably from the Rex Scientist, right?
Yeah, that was his first. You had to actually own Rect to mint that, I think. And you had to have his first NFT, which was Excess. It was the XCSS.
Oh, that's his as well.
Yeah, so you should see that too. It's like down low. I think it has a pretty high floor.
The very bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he did that early on. Like he's just been very impressive. So
Wow.
he's someone to watch for sure.
Well, I'm
And that
definitely
was
getting more bullish on the Rec token.
Yeah, that was something I completely missed too because he's on a different time zone and it just minted out so fast, like overnight. So I was like, damn, missed out.
Yeah, man. Where do you want to go
But
to next, Yago?
a lot of them are meme tokens, just kind of started by the community. Just, everybody's kind of
Yeah.
trying this out. And, it's just like BRC where you kind of have to be like searching Twitter, looking for real community, real backing, all that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, there's definitely it's early, right? So if you're somebody that likes to research, then this is like the perfect environment in terms of Bitcoin layer 1 asset ecosystems. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be constantly searching for like teams that are trying to build over here, which
Right.
it's starting. But I think it'll start to pick up as people get a little bit bored of the people that I think that will come over here are people that have been in Ordinal since like February, March, April, and then heading into the summer because like we're kind of a little bit bored with it, right? But at the same time,
Right.
it's still making a lot of
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Hell yeah,
But
it's been incredible.
everyone's always searching for that new thing, and we have months away from realms, which is from the not
You
realms.
mean
I'm sorry,
runes?
from runes, from the
Mhm.
maker of the ordinals, and that's going to come with a lot of hype. But I feel like Atomicals is really really front running them a little bit in the sense of you guys are already doing it, but kind of differently. What would be the differences? I mean, we talked about it off camera, but what would be the differences in runes and Atomicals?
Well, I don't really know what his protocol will be, what runes will be
Yeah,
when it all, when it's said and done. But I think, they copied, they borrowed a page from the Atomical UTXO model, but they don't use a Satoshi unit of exchange. So it's a little different from colored coins. I'm not really sure if it's seen as like an inscription or I guess an etch, I guess he calls it. But it's definitely different. It's not using the same accounting system.
gotcha.
But they did move away from the way that ordinals is inscribed on Satoshis. They are moving to like that UTXO model, which I think is a little more Bitcoin native, a little bit less indexing overhead. I think it'll be successful. So
Yeah. And I
I'll be
think, yeah, the fact that like Atomicals and ARC20s have a very unique way of doing things, I think that, both can definitely exist. The one that I don't know so much, will, I, I don't know too much about is pipe, and that falls in that same family of UTXO models, but it seems like it's just kind of that's it. There's not too much to it, but also I haven't dove super deep into it. So
Yeah.
I just think that maybe like, this next couple of months up until that summer, for me at least, I'm excited to explore over here.
yeah.
All right. So what are some other sites you would introduce to people?
Yeah, so I'm also going to BitAtom, where we just saw that
Yep.
circulating supply. They also have a great list of tokens. They have that all hot and new tab.
That's
I've
pretty
actually
cool.
been going there like every day. And something to consider on these tokens is that they have a block height launch. So anytime you see a token, it's not necessarily like launched already. That's an option for deploy, but it could be like sometime in the future. So you see Dragon. If you go to
Oh, or new.
new, if you go to
Okay.
new, you can see Dragon there. Um, if you, oh, they actually don't show it on BitAtom. It's Atomical Market under tokens.
Taco Market. Oh, Taco's Market. Okay. And then token.
It will actually show you the deploy block.
And I guess I'll find Dragon, right? Or
Oh, it doesn't show it. What the heck? They need to change that.
there's a lot of tokens that I didn't even
Mint
know about.
start height. If you click on the token, it will
Okay.
show you the mint start height.
Let's go to gold.
Sure. So scroll down a little bit. Mint start height 0. That means it can just start whenever. See the 0 in the middle
Okay.
there?
Yeah.
Okay, so like my the one I'm looking at is Dragon, and it says 823 888. So it's not started yet.
So whenever you set this up, you can start the block height or set the
Yep.
block height.
Yep, it's right in the command or like on one of these websites. It's like just an option for you to enter. And if you enter one that's already passed, it will just be live.
Wow. So there's a lot of tokens coming then.
Yeah, it's kind of
Mhm.
just been like experimental for people, and
Yeah.
not all of them are being mined because they require that proof of work, So
Yeah.
it's like people kind of decide what's worth their time, what's worth their sats, because you're actually coloring your sats too. So you have to look at the amount per mint. So like right there, the mint limit is 100,000. So that mint, you are going to color 100,000 sats.
Yeah.
Meaning
So
that like you have to put 100,000. You have
A lot
to
of it's
spend
correct.
100,000 sats.
Correct. But you get them back, but as that new brand.
Yeah.
yeah.
So another interesting thing about that is that, like, to mint out a token, it's going to essentially be backed by a certain amount of Satoshis. So right here, you're seeing 100,000 Satoshis per mint. And then I don't know how many mints to mint out, but it's going to be a lot of Bitcoin behind that, just as like a
Yeah.
floor price, basically.
I
Well,
thought it
yeah,
was
so-
I thought it was 1 Satoshi per token. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so then if the total supply would be like 2.1 billion tokens, then that's 2.1 billion Satoshis backing those.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
So what is that today in today's price? 2.1 billion Satoshis.
I could tell you actually.
Is that 21 BTC? No.
No. That
It's
might be 2.1.
2.1.
2.1 billion Satoshis is $890,000.
Okay, that's a lot more than. How many Bitcoin is that?
I mean, it's 21.
21 Bitcoin. Okay.
Yep.
So to mint out, it's backed by 21 BTC.
That's insane. That's no way. That's
That's
wild.
amazing. So there will be 21 BTC out there that's colored as dragon.
Yo, that's really
Yo.
cool. I like that.
It's totally cool. Yeah, absolutely.
So
So there's
I
all
do
these
like
kind of
that.
like there's these kind of like tokenomics to kind of reconsider with this protocol. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
definitely.
Wow. All right, man. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I
Okay.
appreciate you guys having me on, and I appreciate you guys being open to Atomicals. It was just, like we needed that open-mindedness, and we just need that as Bitcoiners, like always. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
comes. You just have to be ready for the new thing. Tomorrow, God knows what opportunities we will have.
Exactly. 100%.
So-
Because we don't want to get our minds stuck into laser focus for like tunnel vision, like those laser
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah. And it can cycle, back and forth between things. One day it's Atomicals, one day it's Ordinals, one day it's stamps. It's just
Yeah.
it's wild. So
100%. I agree
And
with that.
I feel like we're really good. Me and Yagobi are really good at like sniffing out the next thing. And I think that's, it does take us a little while. Like Atomicals was out for a little bit and we were just like, that's this. But then once we get it, I feel like we're like, oh crap, this could be huge. And I think that's
yeah,
how I'm not speaking for Yagobi, but I think that's how I feel myself. So
Yeah. I mean I'm definitely on that boat as well. I think it's gonna attract. There's gonna be two different groups that it attracts. The first group is gonna be the people that like their brain tickled. You know what I mean? Like to where like, oh
Mhm.
wow, like you can do this over there. You're actually like proof of work, like actual fungible tokens on Bitcoin. That's
Yep.
wild. And
Mhm.
then you'll have the second group wave to where like they'll probably just want to buy on secondary and trade, but which is fine. They
Mhm.
kind of help control the market and stuff like that.
Mhm.
yeah. And another thing I was thinking too is like, could the miners actually, let's just say that Bitcoin's not as profitable, could they start mining using their ASICs? Could they mine this type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, A kind of touched on that. Someone said, why don't you put out a GPU miner? And he made a funny comment saying, like, well, then people will just want me to build an ASIC miner, and it's kind of just like the inevitable progression of proof of
Yeah.
work. It's like, if that goal is at the end of the tunnel, it's like, you're not going to stop people from basically saying, I want to have the most fit machine possible to, to get those tokens. It's very interesting. It's almost like people want to like fast forward to that moment where we're like,
Yeah.
okay, should we just get the ASICs and go for it? And we're like, it's just like mining Bitcoin. So
I mean,
I
you
don't
could
know.
see miners mining the sats, taking those same sats that they mined, and then coloring them with the ASICs and minting something else on top of them. Is is that like not like that's definitely something that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's basically like miners mining a block and taking the bitmap and taking the rare satoshis, right?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
Wow.
that's interesting. Yeah.
So many possibilities, man. And this is the first one. We're definitely gonna have a series on this. The next time we have you on, we're gonna have everything downloaded and we're actually gonna get to the minting. So I'm very excited for that. We really appreciate having you on, Thoth, man. Thank you for your time. I know we're taking time away from your family, so we really appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you both so much.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
See you, man.
Later,
Peace.
man. Later, guys.
See ya.
Well, that was awesome, dude. I really like him as a person. He's really, really awesome.
Yeah, he is. When we first actually, he was kind of like we DM'd him to try to get A on the first time too. I think like
Yep.
you were talking to A, I was like trying to message Thoth and I think Hype 2 or somebody else was trying, how do we do this? How do we do this? And he's always like responsive. So, I appreciate people like Thoth in our community
Definitely.
because they're here to educate people,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Definitely. I thought it was an amazing episode, and I'm really going to enjoy the series. I think that, like I said, the next episode we're really going to dig into the actual mining. We're going to actually try to mine using our computers and kind of see what we can do and what we can learn from him, and potentially teach you guys. So that's the whole kind of the point of this show. We want to educate. We want to bring you guys new things, and I'm going to say it again, man. I get the early day BRC20 feels, man. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, definitely excited. And I think that episode's gonna be really fun. Once we
yeah,
get everything downloaded and we start doing and watch, I bet you're gonna do stuff on your own, and I am too. Like, hey, look, man, I freaking, just did
yeah,
bit work for this new token that
yeah.
deployed, or
I got the
dement.
dragon, man. I
Yeah.
got the dragon. I'm
So
chasing the dragon. Nah. All right, guys. Please smash that sub for us. Smash the like. We appreciate you guys. If you cannot watch, you can definitely listen. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on all streaming platforms. Appreciate you guys so much. And tune in for the next episode of this.
all right, peace.
See you guys.